working through your forgiveness list, if you feel like you get stuck, if you're working through and you come through a specific name and you're trying to release them, you're trying to level 1, Father, I choose to forgive so-and-so, and you get stuck, here's what to do. You take a breath, you back up a step, and you say, Father, I choose that I'm going to forgive this person, but, and then I want you to begin to just allow it to come up and out. Talk to the Lord. Remember, we honor him. We never speak to him in an angry way to the best of our ability, but we also have to remember he understands our weaknesses, our feelings, our hurts, our wounds. He literally has been chastised and wounded for them. He took all of our sin, all of humanity's sin upon himself. So even the sins that were committed against you, he's aware. He knows. And so when we come to a place, there were certain people on my forgiveness list that while I knew I needed to forgive them and I had to forgive them, and I was able to push through saying that to God, I knew there was a whole lot of junk associated there. And there was a lot of emotion that came up, and even some trauma stuff like disassociation. To disassociate literally basically means you abandon yourself. In a moment, you will literally like abandon yourself, and it's almost like your mind just goes to a different place and you leave yourself for a minute. Now, that's a clinical term, and I suffered from dissociation or dissociative episodes for years. And I had to learn and understand and give myself mercy and grace, because as a child, it was the way that I coped. It was the way I survived. I went through some horrific abuse at the hands of multiple people over the course of my entire childhood. And as a little girl, not understanding what was happening to me in the moment, not understanding the things that I was going through, my body, my mind created a way for me to survive. It worked for the time, and it was okay for the time. But once I grew up and I began to heal and I began to understand what was happening, then I had to, by the supernatural means of God's grace, begin to allow God to heal that in me. And I had to face some things. Okay. Now we do this at the pace that our body, our mind, different things like that allow us to. Okay. You don't want to force yourself to try to do things to the point where it literally pushes back at you, to the point where you're disassociating, you're having nightmares, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, I highly recommend counseling and therapy in some areas and for some people. You just have to be careful and you have to find what works for you. Okay. Now, if you're forgiving someone and you start to have all these feelings, all these emotions, all this junk come up and you get stuck, you simply need to open up and allow the Lord to hear those things. You need to talk to him. You would even if it's, Lord, so-and-so did this to me and they did this to me and I'm struggling to forgive them. You just back up a step. Okay. And so you begin to ask the Lord to help you to do that. Help me to forgive them. Lord, I'm willing, but help me. Lord, I'm willing, but I need your help. There were some people in my life that I went through some deep healing with several names on my list. And I would work sometimes on one person in different areas, sometimes for months, and undoing damage that one person had caused. And there were some people on my list that had to wait a couple of years because I could not face the depth and the complexity of some of the damage that either they caused or they allowed to be caused. And I actually was diagnosed with PTSD, but CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And there was other things as well, but that complex in the PTSD means that there's multifaceted issues that is going on. It's complex. It's complicated. Okay. And sometimes our inner healing can be complicated. So that's why I keep encouraging you to be merciful and gracious, be gentle with yourself, understand you might be raw for a while, but always be talking to the Lord. Listen, one of the names for the Holy Spirit in the Bible is Counselor, capital C. Now, this can mean different things, but one of the main things that it means is exactly as it sounds. He will be your counselor. Okay. In other words, you can talk to him. You can talk to him about what's hurting. You can talk to him about the memories that are coming up. You can talk to him about where your struggles, where you might hit a wall where it's like, man, I can't do that. I can't deal with that. Those types of feelings and thoughts that may come up. You can talk to him about everything, and he will counsel you through it. He will comfort you as well. That's another name of his, comforter, capital C, comforter, capital C, counselor. He's also your guide. He's also your teacher. Okay. And so I want to encourage you, as you're doing this, develop that relationship with the Holy Spirit. Cultivate it, develop it, and cultivate it. When you develop something, then you're going to do that probably in a room by yourself, just like a photographer develops photos. They go into a dark room and they're usually alone in there working. And it takes time, and there's a process, okay? So develop a relationship with the Holy Spirit. And in the places that you start to get stuck, whether it's the forgiveness part or other things, ask for his help. Stay the course. Don't quit. Don't run. Don't let fight, flight, or freeze mode kick in and run away and just say, I'm not doing this. Here's the thing. We have two choices in life. We can sit in the mud and in the muck and in the mire. We can sit in our trauma. We can continue to deal with our own behaviors and our own wounds, or we can face them and we can heal and we can get up, pull up our bootstraps, and get out of it. Those are our choices. And honestly, I've done both. And I'm here to tell you that it's no harder to become the victor than it is to sit and remain being the victim. It doesn't hurt anymore to become the victor and face what hurt you, what broke you, what damaged you, what wounded you, than what it does to sit and be the victim in that stuff. But what I can guarantee you is the freedom is exhilarating. The freedom is well worth it. The health and the testimony and the self-confidence and the way that you will literally feel about yourself on the other side of doing some of this work, there is priceless. I can't put a price on it. I can't even give you a word. It is just supernatural. It's amazing. And then other people are watching. And those close to you, those who know you, they're going to know. They're going to see. And you're going to come out with a victorious testimony where once you were the victim, now you're the victor. You're the victorious one. We don't have to remain a victim. We can heal because Jesus is our victor and he will make us a victor. Okay. So if you get stuck, don't quit, but just back up a step and start asking the Lord for help and talk through whatever it is that's coming up. Okay. Remember, my email is in the description of each and every video if you need to reach out. Okay. We are praying. I am praying for all those on this journey. Even if I don't know you and I don't necessarily know that you're on this journey, in general, I'm praying for those that are on this journey. Okay. And I know, and I've done this with many people, and I know that the Lord will bring levels of healing and deliverance to you every single step of the way. God blessings. I'll be back with you soon.